This is a live look at the scene in Louisville's Smoketown neighborhood, where Louisville Fire is battling a very large warehouse fire at Jackson and Caldwell Streets. Let's go ahead and get right to the fire department giving us a live update.
Warehouse building, it's approximately a 60,000 square foot building. We were dispatched at 4:22 this afternoon. Crews were on scene within 2 minutes at 4:24. When crews initially arrived on scene, again, it was reported in is a vacant 4-story warehouse. They had heavy smoke pushing from the inside, no visible fire at that time. Crews did attempt to make entry to start fighting the fire from the inside. Fire had progressed rapidly by the time they made entry. So once they made entry, we quickly evacuated them just because of the conditions of the building, the age of the building, the overall appearance of the building. Judgment of incident commanders on scene was critical to pull those individuals out of that building and initiate a defensive fire attack. A defensive fire attack is where we just surround the building and we attack it from the outside. At 4:34, so just within a few minutes of being on scene, they called for extra equipment. So a box alarm, a second alarm fire was requested at 4:34, and at 4:55, we had a collapse. That collapse was at 4:55. Again, credit to our incident commanders who had pulled our crews out of the building 20 minutes prior to that. So tremendous credit to them, those initial company commanders that were on scene. By the time that happened, we had hit a third alarm fire. Ultimately, we deployed 20 firefighting apparatus on the scene, and approximately 100 firefighters are on the scene right now. It's an ongoing active scene, so what we ask of the community is to please avoid the area, let us do our work. Again, it's defensive operations now. We've accounted for all of our firefighters. There are no injuries to report at this time. Wayside Christian Mission is reported to be the owner of the building. They have representatives on scene. They were on scene very quickly. They've been incredibly cooperative, providing us critical information on the structure of the building. They report that the building was used for storage. There were no personnel that were working inside the building. They do have reports that they had complaints of homeless in and outside of the building. That'll be part of our investigation. So that's where we are now. We're defensive operation. We have all of our personnel accounted for. We will be on scene throughout the evening and into the early morning. We'll have set up what's called a fire watch to make sure that the fire is completely out and that we're keeping everybody safe. We've also established rehab, a level 2 rehab. So it's essentially an ambulance that's on scene to make sure that our firefighters are safe, that they're staying hydrated. We're taking their vitals every few minutes, making sure that they're healthy and they're capable of working. We'll also be rotating new crews through. We've hit what's called the 3A, 4A plan. So that's a callback list where we call back all firefighters from all 3 shifts. So that's been sent out. We have our firefighters who are currently reporting to their firehouses. We have auxiliary apparatus. So a question that we often get when we have fires this big is coverage for the rest of the night and around the city. That's established through our 3A, 4A plan. We also have great relationships with county fire departments who are providing services to our bordering communities. With that being said, we have suspended our medical runs at this time, aside from severe MVAs, motor vehicle accidents, and heart attacks. So just so know that about our operations at this time. LG&E's been on scene. We have several power lines in the area. They've isolated the power lines for us. LMPD is supporting by shutting down streets in the area. And of course, EMS is on the scene, also checking our firefighters. So now the investigative stage, right? So now we have arson investigators who are on scene. Their investigation has already begun, but understand that when you have this much damage and this size of a building, collecting evidence can be challenging. So what they rely upon is collecting a lot of evidence, surveillance footage from Ring doorbells and any other kind of cameras from businesses or residents in the area. You can call 574 LMPD if you have any information, anything you would like to share. But again, we'll be on scene throughout the night. Please avoid the area.
A tremendous amount of information there coming from Louisville Fire about that massive fire they are fighting in the Smoketown neighborhood. 100 firefighters on scene right now, 20 firefighting apparatus. You can see those hoses, you can see those ladders. Look at all the bricks on the ground from a collapse of that structure just under an hour ago. Firefighters telling us that they pulled back all of their crews outside of that building 20 minutes before the collapse. We will continue to stay on this for you this evening. Stay with WDRB.